call in our angels, our guides, all of those light beings who love us and that we love, ascended masters, animal spirits, and totems. We welcome you. We welcome you. We welcome you. Take a breath in and a breath out. Collectively, connect with Source. Connect with love. To the truth of our very root being. We are that. That is what is the truth. And so it is. So it is. White light surrounds. White light surrounds. Clarity. Divine intuition. Clarity. Divine wisdom. And knowing. Is our truth. Is our birthright. We access it. Here and now. So it is. Blessings. Woo! Blessings and welcome. It is such a gift to be with you here today. I am Tuesday May Thomas, and this is 4D Trinity. This is my little show that allows us to connect and ignite those parts of us that are seemingly separated from the divinity that we are. Those parts of us being mind, body, and emotions. We allow ourselves to come into a space of learning how to reconnect and realign those aspects of ourselves so that as we become whole through mind, body, emotions, moving away from being fragmented, we can with greater ease connect to that divine blueprint that we are, to spirit, to love, to light. Imagine we are all one. We are all one soul here in this universe. Yet, as we come to this earth to incarnate as a human being, we fragment ourselves. Yet we are still whole. We are still connected to that source, to that one, to that soul, which I believe truly is love, is light, is that beautiful clarity. We come to this earth. We have several, or perhaps if you believe one incarnation upon which we have different experiences that lead us down different journeys and adventures of life, through various timelines of life. We have situations that can mark us through pain, through hurt, in many different ways. And unless we allow ourselves to consciously heal those aspects that have at once clouded our ability to connect back to source, to connect to the oneness that we are, we will remain separated. And we will feel that the earth is not a place that we want to be, and that it is not safe, and that there is a lot to fear. And here, what we learn is at 4D Trinity is how to connect, how to make peace, how to heal, how to realize and remember that we are indeed one. And when we are in tune with our oneness, we are unfuckable with. When we are in tune and calibrated to our soul level of wisdom, which comes through healing, which comes through each of our innate journeys on this life, on this path, we become one again. And we remember how infinite and how powerful that is. And we get to walk in this wholeness in this world. And the world becomes less and less hell on earth, but we bridge heaven on earth by coming back to ourselves, by coming back to love, by coming back to the truth. Now, these gifts of pain, these gifts of shame, these gifts of betrayal, these gifts of trauma that happen in our life, I say gifts because they are medicine. They hold within them, these experiences hold within them the capacity to help us help ourselves, to help us come back to remembering that love is the truth. Through practicing self-love, through practicing all of the ways that we've learned, or perhaps garnering and learning new ways to bring more love into our lives, to heal the past, to be able to maintain that sense of mastery and hold that ability to be healed in the present, which completely changes the trajectory of our possible future timelines. Ultimately, what we're doing here is we're learning how to be a master of our time and space. And to be a master of our time and space means to be impeccable, to practice impeccability of the words, being mindful, being conscious of the words we speak. That creates the framework of time as we experience it in our reality. Think about it. The words that you speak, you're either allowing yourself more time or you're stressing yourself out by creating a conflict of time, by believing that time is real. And as we gain entryway to our multidimensional selves, we begin to realize that time is actually malleable and we don't have to be bound to it. So as we learn to master the words that we speak with impeccability, we begin to become aware of these shifts in our realities and how our words hold space for those feelings and those experiences we have. And as well, the space that we hold pertains to the thoughts that we keep about those aspects in our life, whatever they are. Your body, your health, your sex, your sexuality, your finances, your career, your relationships, all of it. And so today, we're talking specifically about energetically delinking from ties that bind so that we can come back into our full majesty, our full unfuckability with. Unfuckable ability is what I mean to say. And before we go on any further, I want to say thank you. There are so many new subscribers every week, and this little tiny channel has been slowly growing, and I bless every single one of you. Thank you, this beautiful community, for all of your comments, for your likes, your shares, and just subscribing. Thank you for thumbs upping. If you're hanging out right now on this live stream and you feel inclined, drop a little hello in the comment box. And I do have an announcement. Next week's 4D Trinity is going to be beginning at 11 a.m. instead of 10 a.m. And today I have a family engagement. So today's 4DT is only going to be an hour long. So we're going to whip through some of these ideas, some of these concepts here. In considering, why would we even want to de-link from people, places, or things? Well, generally, you can imagine that the memory you have pertaining to a certain person, place, thing, or situation, if that memory is not one that is harmonious, is not one that is bringing you joy, yet is repeating in your mind and causing you stress, causing that fragmentation of mind, body, and emotions, causing a disruption. Well, this is the exact reason why we would want to energetically de-link from those thoughts or from those people, places, and things. And it's not a negative thing to de-link. We are simply unhooking all of those threads that have once bound us to another. And we are, for the highest good, allowing them to unhook from us so that we can be clear in the space that surrounds us, so that we can come back to having a clearer framework energetically of our own being, to connect with source, to connect with love, with God, with light, whatever name you give it, so that that can be the steering mechanism of our experience. When this is not the steering mechanism of our experience, then something else is driving. If we are not allowing love and light to steer the way for us, then fear or your pain, your past, is steering the way for you. So we are consciously, through the practice of being a master of our time and space, we are consciously saying yes to being mindful and aware of those programs, of those connections, of those people, places, and things that we are connected to, that we don't want to be connected to, or that we at least want to have a break and de-link from that energy and allow that energy to reconnect as it serves the highest good on a higher level of love, on a higher level of light, so that we can see things differently, so that we can birth and be birthed unto new timelines of experience, so that we don't have to keep repeating old, caked in, baked in ways that really don't feel that they serve our empowerment, our oneness of being. So for example, last week, someone very close to me decided to give me advice. I didn't ask for the advice, but they decided to give me advice. And I'm open to advice, especially from those people that I love and that I respect. And this person I love and respect. Yet the way that they somehow were guided to give me advice came very short, very sharp, and in such a manner that, and I know, right, it's up to me to be hurt. No one can actually hurt us. We decide, but I felt hurt. I decided I was going to feel hurt by the way that they spoke to me. Even if their advice was good advice, it was delivered in such a way that it kind of had some sharp nails with it. And it was just, it came out of left field. And in my mind at the time, I remember thinking, maybe this person is just tired. And that's why they're kind of, you know, but I thought, okay, maybe we should continue this conversation later. And then anyway, we hung up the phone, but then sitting with it, it kept brewing in me. It kept tapping me on the shoulder and really affecting me. And I felt hurt and I felt kind of pissed off. And I felt kind of like, why did they talk to me like that? That is so weird. Like it just, it marked me. It marked my timeline and that connection that I had with that person. So what did I get to do? I got to sit and to meditate and work metaphysically on the energetic links and ties that I have with this person. So you can imagine yourself, if there's a person in your life, and they'll come right away. You don't have to think too hard. They will just reveal themselves, where there is some static energy. And all we have to do metaphysically is decide to de-link energetically. You see, in a lot of these metaphysical energy tools, or these way of seeing things, and the way that we can contribute to being a master of our time and space is to use them. Your mind, your thoughts, your words are so amazingly, immaculately powerful. You are a creator with your thoughts and with your words. And so often we are trained, especially here in the West, in the States, to look outside of ourselves for someone else or something else to remedy our situations. And ultimately, being a master of your time and space is you saying, no, I'm going to take care of it. Now, this doesn't mean that we can't go to healers or psychics or, you know, people to help us along the path as we get stuck or we need some outside divine light and guidance along the way. Yet ultimately, the practice is yours. Your life is yours to master. So what did we get to do? What did I get to do? I got to sit there and I got to be with that thought, be with that conversation, and it reran several times on repeat in my mind, and I kept getting hurt and feeling more and more like I wanted to start calling this person a bitch. I wanted to start, the tar body in me, the shadow in me, wanted to dig back the way that I felt that I was digged out. But I knew that that's not the answer, because that just perpetuates this back and forth of tar, this back and forth of separation consciousness that is not unity, that is not love. So I sat and very simply, I imagined those threads, the threads of energy that connect me to that person and that person to me, that they had from this specific situation where they had voiced these opinions and this counsel in a very sharp way, I felt. And I imagined me de-linking myself energetically from them. That means the disbanding of the threads of energy that I cast out to them regarding that situation. And for the highest good, because we never force a will, I ask the universe to energetically de-link them from me. So you can imagine, and sometimes it feels like little threads connecting you to someone else, and sometimes it feels like hooks, and like there's things that are really cast in and caked and baked in. But I asked for that to be done, and instantly, because I'm being a master of my time and space, and I'm choosing the timeline that I wish to experience, because this was annoying me. This was getting my goat, if you will. This was starting to disturb my every part of my day, because I love this person. And it just came out of left field. And sometimes it's not from someone you love. It's a stranger, or it's a boss, or it's a roommate, or it's your lover, or your husband, or your wife. And it doesn't matter who it is. If there's stagnant or static or funky energy, you can, as this tool resonates you for the highest good, you can simply take a moment, close your eyes, and imagine all the ways that you guys, that you gals, that you people are energetically connected, all the ties. Now there might be one, there might be two, they might be big, they might be small, there might be many of them connected at your heart, at your solar plexus, at your mind, wherever they are. And you say, you think, you intend to de-link all the threads, all the grids, all the energy threads that you have connected into them, you de-link. So you unplug, you unhook all those things, you reel them back in, and you don't even have to do all that. You just simply have the intention. I de-link from this person, and whew, it's done for you. The universe de-links you from them. And universe, for the highest good, de-link them from me. And generally, 99.9% of the time, the universe will be like, gotcha, boom, right? We never force a will, but the universe will do that work for us. So it will de-link them from us energetically. And then you move from having those ties that bind to being sovereign, to being free. And we're going to talk about this symbol here, the detachment symbol, because ultimately, as we may be aware, as we think about those people, places, and things that are on our mind that cause us disruption, that cause us to get off of our game and out of our center and not steal our peace, we recognize that as a master, we start to recognize how much we have a part of that, how much we contribute to that being so. And that is so, again, through your thoughts, through your words, and especially those thoughts, because remember, your thoughts connect you to the collective consciousness. We use this picture here to think about the collective consciousness. This grid map is a network of all mind through all time and space, through all dimensions. And we are all intimately connected through our individual threads, grid threads, minds, thoughts, emotions, and as a collective, where like attracts like, and where those thoughts, those feelings and emotions resonate and vibrate in like ways. So anytime I am thinking about the situation on repeat, I am rerunning, I am reconnecting to that framework of collective consciousness. And that collective consciousness simply is present to agree with whatever we decide is our truth and our reality. So if I think this person really hurt me, I feel really pissed off, etc., etc., and it begins to haunt me and I begin to feel hurt, these feelings of hurt, I'm plugging directly into that grid, this matrix that of collective consciousness that is going to simply agree with me and give me more of that to feel and to experience as my reality on my timeline. Yet the moment that I start to change my mind and I de-link from these people, these places, these situations, and I ask that they are de-linked for the highest good from me, suddenly there is clarity. Suddenly there is a relinquishing of those ties that bind. And now it's one thing when it's someone you love, when it's a friend and you kind of have a little weird, harsh word and you apologize and you make up for it. But it's another thing when it's someone or something that you feel energetically has inappropriate energy, right? It's another thing when you sense this, this term that is called the energy vampire, when you sense that someone is hungry, when their energy is hungry, and they sometimes consciously, but sometimes that energy vampire grid, that realm, operates through people and they don't even realize that they are plugging into you and sucking your energy, manipulating you, creating conditions whereby you can be fooled, whereby there's a sleight of hand, and there's a hidden agenda. And sometimes, not all the time, but these are specifically the experiences that we especially can bring awareness to and start to de-link ourselves from. So think about it for a moment. Is there anyone in your realm, and this can be in the past, this can be right now, whereby that energetic dynamic is taking place, where they are seemingly, they are connected to you, and through an experience, through a situation that is distasteful, that leaves you feeling that you do not want to be in connection with this person energetically, you know, and I think the clearer we become, the more enlightened, the more light we add to ourselves through healing ourselves, through meditating, through all of our practices that tune us into the love and the light of the universe. The more that that happens, the more we begin to recognize exactly where it is that someone is plugged into us in inappropriate ways. So I'm going to tell you a quick story, and I'm going to be as, I don't want to say any names, but there's someone in my life, there was someone in my life that I was very, very close to, that I used to live with, and we weren't romantic, but we were really, really good friends. And over time, there were very odd things that this person did that I decided to look the other way. There were very interesting, manipulative things that this person did in my presence towards other people. And I looked the other way. And it was really like dark magic kind of stuff, right? Never thinking anything of it. Later, I start to have these reoccurring situations that I wasn't happy with. And as I sat in my meditation and I asked about them and I asked for guidance, I received the guidance that was, this person has actually plugged themselves energetically into you and is feeding off of your energy. And I was like, whoa, I wasn't even aware. And you see, sometimes when you have a lot of energy, when you've built up your aura, when you've plugged into source, and that is your main practice, it can be easy for someone to plug in. Not easy. It cannot. It's not, I'm not going to say that. It's not necessarily that it's easy, but sometimes it's unless you're doing a little checkabout. You know how if you have a cat, they go outside and they walk the perimeters. Like, unless you do a little check-in from time to time, kind of find something that's gotten in there that maybe has plugged in and that's just like sucking on your light. And so you get to clean house. You get to de-link, unplug, seal that up, and detach. Use that detachment symbol, which we're going to talk about here shortly. So I realized that this person was totally plugged into me and was sucking my energy, but also psychically was manipulating my field, was psychically showing its presence in my life through these inappropriate situations that were not harmonious to me. And it was like I knew every time that thing happened, I was like, oh, fuck, they're here, they got in, I gotta de-link, I gotta batten down the hatches. And now realize that the levels of de-linking are simply the layers of these issues we have with this person, place, thing, or situation. And it's not that we have to do this forever and ever, but each situation may have different layers to it. Like, I know for that first example I gave you, there was a few rounds of de-linking, and then it's done. And then I feel better, and I feel like it's done. It's all good. Yet with this person from my past, this took years. Not that it has to take you years, but it was years of working on it, forgetting about it, it showing up again on a new level, and me going, okay, let's get to work here. Let's de-link this. Let's clear house. And every time I did, though, it would show me more about myself and more about where I got to heal these issues with this person. And what I realized is that this person, as I did more and more research, had gotten into my bank accounts, had gotten into my computer, had gotten into my personal things where I lived as a roommate with this person. And they were really plugged in, right? Energetically, but also they had all of my information. And I don't usually live in fear of these things. The door, there was no lock on my bedroom door. I trusted my roommate, you know, all these things. Yet, as I realized, as the picture broadened and I became aware of the dynamics of what was really going on, of course I was shocked, but I realized I got to really de-link myself. So it happened with the de-linking energetically of those ties. There were energy letters, which I'll come back and I'll put a link to here, which is where you write a letter from your higher self to their higher self. And so there was this interesting dance between the two of us, because in the 3D, there was never an exchange of word of like, hey, dude, I see you. I see what you're up to. And no longer is this going to happen. We had already parted ways. And it was only later when I got to really get into those deeper levels and where this information was exposed as I did my detective work, and I realized like, oh, this person got in this deep. They were manipulating me and lying to me on this level. I had no idea. So this was a lesson for me. And I got to heal it. I got to forgive this person. But I also got to stand up to that shadow in him, that shadow in me, and say no. And de-link to such a degree and detach to such a degree that that energy could no longer interrupt me, could no longer penetrate and manipulate me. And how did I do that? Through that de-linking, through that forgiving, through speaking through my higher self in several energy letters to this person and telling them, I see you. Telling their tar body, I see you and I'm calling you out. And you see, as soon as you see the tar body, you are bringing light to their shadow. As soon as you see their shadow, you're bringing light there, and the tar body does not want to be seen in the light. And sometimes it'll even say, shit, okay, I give up. But there were several layers, and really it's for a book later down the line that I will write in my Reiki Apprentice series, because there was a lot of shamanic, dark side, interesting, manipulative stuff going on there. So anyway, that's just a story to express and expand on this theme of like de-linking and how other people can plug into our energy. The God phone is ringing. And how other people can plug into us, and really how we can do that to others. Hello? Hey, blessings, God. Yes, we're totally talking. I was telling a few stories about the de-linking and the weird energy and all that stuff. Okay. You want me to read from that? Okay, will do. In a little while. Okay. Yes. Okay, God says hi. Okay, blessings, dear God. Thank you so much. Okay, namaste. So God wants me to read a little bit out of my book, The Reiki Apprentice, but also is reminding me that this is a really big part of this delinking. So besides the energetics of it, is the physical 3D things. How many things have you been given by people? People that you don't really have an affiliation with, people that you don't really resonate with energetically, people that you kind of feel weird about. Whether it's a friend, a stranger, a boss, and especially in these spiritual realms, people give you things and you say, oh, thank you, and you take it home. And I talked at nauseatum, not really, but I talked forever on this. I'll put a link here later when I did the 4D Trinity on the crystals, and how just being careful of, someone gave me a crystal ball and I was so ignorant and I was like, oh, and I put it in the living room. Meanwhile, they had inappropriate intentions and were tapping into me, my energy, my home, and voyeuring, seeing into my world, which I found out about when I was sitting there with this person, and they said, oh yeah, and they started talking about something, and I thought, how would they know unless they were in my home? How would they know this? And then I was like, dun, dun, dun. And I realized, shit, what a fool am I? They give me this powerful object. I put it in my home. I didn't even cleanse it. I didn't do any ritual or delinking or anything with it before, or I didn't do anything with it. I just said, oh my God, I was so wowed by the fancy, flashy, shiny object that I put it in my home. And then this person you see energetically, when there is an inappropriate intention from the other side, had a way into me, had a way in to literally see into my home, to see into my life, to tap into my energy. So what things have people given to you? And like this story about my roommate, there were so many things that we shared, so many things. And I tell you, over those years, like I was saying, those layers of delinking, of like seeing new parts, even just up until like 6 months ago, like that experience would happen. And remember, it happened less and less and less the more I healed it, but that experience would happen whereby I knew that it signaled that there was something to pay attention to with this person. And like, what am I supposed to pay attention to? And a lot of it was clearing my physical space of things that we shared, of things that they gave me, getting rid of this person from the contacts on my email, blocking them. And I'm not a big blocker on social media. I am on Instagram. I don't do Facebook. I don't do Twitter. I'm here on YouTube, as you know. I'm not a big blocker, but if there's a dark, odd energy and my higher self says, put the block on, I will block. Simple as that. But like, I blocked this person from the social, all the little trinkets and doodads or crystals and stuff, blessed them, and either, whatever each individual item said, some of them were like, give me to the secondhand store. Some of them were like, just throw me in the trash, way out by the dumpster, not in your house. Each of them had a certain medicine as well, a lesson that they taught me. Old pictures, even of this person, I deleted. From my phone, I deleted their name, their phone number. When you really realize that someone is tapping in inappropriately from a place where they are hungry, where they are deciding from the shadow, from the from the dark side of them, to be plugging into your sweet, juicy energy and manipulating it for whatever reason, then it's time to clean the house. It's time to de-link energetically, as we talked about those grids, those threads of de-linking energetically, and placing love, letting love be that quantum organizer that is love, to realign your energy. Once you have those links unplugged, those hooks unplugged, then your energy can recalibrate, sync up with the greater love. And each time that happens, then it becomes more and more difficult for that inappropriate energy or for that memory, like that thing that I had in my first example with that person that I really love, where it was just like a little weird. I know there's really no harm and that they're not coming from that place. Again, I think they were just tired, and it came out how they were saying things wrong. And maybe I was tired and I took offense and I was hurt easily. And, that's a different thing. But where there's someone where you're like, oh, shit, this is like on. There's all these little things, right, that you can release. Now, I had also realized that this roommate when I had first gotten my computer, that this person was a computer person, and I had given, it's like I had given my firstborn to them. They knew they had all these programs, and they put, you know, programs in there for me. Yet at the same time, what I had realized is that this person had the first connection to my computer, and for over 5 years, I had not changed any of those passwords that person knew. It's like these things that we just don't even connect until we meditate, we're present, and we're asking, how can I create greater sovereignty? How can I be more in my light? How can I keep de-linking energetically, physically, third dimensionally, multidimensionally from this person, place, or thing, so that I can be in my true power and authority, and so that I don't have to keep walking with this person connected to me. So I don't keep a gateway, a portal open for them, like that crystal ball, to tap into my energy. So you clear the house, give it to Goodwill, you clear out. But like I was saying, just up until 6 months ago, I got the sign and I was like, they're back, they're here. What is this next layer? And it was just really simple. My higher self was like, just go around the house. There's still something that is connecting you to this person that you get to throw in the trash, that you get to release. And I was looking and looking and looking, and here I am then a couple days later making a cup of tea, putting some honey in the cup, and I looked at the spoon, and it was the spoon. And the spoon, and funny, there were 3 spoons that were all the same, that had somehow traveled from that apartment from years and years and years ago through all of my moves. I've lived a million places, and they came and they were here with me. And I was like, it's you. Bless the spoon, released it. No more of those situations occurring. Less and less ways for this person to inappropriately connect to my energy. So again, here we are. This is you. This is me. This line here represents the timeline of our life. Every red mark upon that timeline is something that has happened to us, that has disturbed us, that has hurt us, that has caused us pain, that has traumatized us, that has marked us in our life. And what we get to do as we decide to go along the path of healing is we get to recognize where those things are marked in us. We get to recognize the root aspect of why this is even happening. Why is this even a thing? And then we start to use those experiences as medicine. We start to calibrate our mastership through our apprenticeship with energy, through understanding the value of you, the value of light, and the value of wholeness, of oneness, of your unfuckable ability-ness. So here we are, the second picture down below here. This is you. This is your aura. Imagine the circle around you. And all those red marks are, again, those places along your timeline, that top line there, that have marked you, that are unhealed. And all of those places that are unhealed, these little red marks, are not only marking your aura, but they're connecting. You see these grids, these threads of energy that connect up. This here, this web-looking slice of pie, in my symbol rendition, with my little magic marker, is to reflect this. And I know there's a bit of a glare, but it's to reflect this idea of the collective consciousness through which we are all connected, through all time and space and all dimensions, multidimensionally. So as we are marked and we walk with these wounds, we are connected energetically through mind, through emotion, through word, through action, to that collective. And as we keep walking with those wounds, the grid, again, just gives us whatever we decide, whatever we think about, whatever we speak about, whatever we feel about. So if I'm going to think I'm hurt, I'm being manipulated, the world is unsafe, there's a lot to fear, then that's what I'm going to be connected into. But that has roots in my past. There's a reason why I feel that way, because of past experiences. But as I heal, as I bring light, as I de-link, as I learn modalities, as I forgive, as I pray, as I do everything that I can, that I'm divinely guided to bring myself back to my center, to bring myself back to peace, into my self-mastery, then this de-linking actually happens naturally. But again, you can just consciously speak it or think it. I de-link from this person and universe for the highest good. De-link them from me. All those ties are gone. And then love and light is allowed to be that quantum organizer that recalibrates that space of you, that space of them, and the space in between, so that if there is to be a reconnecting and a relinking, because you can do this with your boyfriend, with your lover, with your boss, with people that you love, like how I did with this person in my first example. I was like, there was so much static in the ways that we were connected. And I was like, woo, let me de-link from both sides. And then from a higher frequency, from a higher plane of love and light, the reconnection happens. The reconnection can take place. So if your lover, if your husband, your wife, really gets on your nerves, you guys have a fight or something, and you can't stop thinking about it. Number one, de-link from them and ask that they be de-linked from you, so that there could be space, sacred space between you, where love can be present, and then that reconnecting for the highest good can happen on a higher level, so that it's not, so that you don't keep trying to reconnect from that plane of hurt, of disruption, of pain, of all that static, right? And then also I want to talk to you here, and I know I'm going to read a little bit from my book as we close. This symbol here is the detachment symbol. And I'm going to put some links later when I come back. I have to run here shortly, but when I come back, I'm going to put some links up here. And there's a really cute little animated movie that I made called Zoe and Stone. And it's all about this giraffe who has these issues about seeing his family, because every time he hangs out with his family, he feels like he's not worthy, or they make fun of him, or they want to go do things that he doesn't want to do. And so before he goes to meet his family, he's already having all these thoughts that are paralyzing him and making him like feel really fearful and stressed about this meeting. And he meets this wise owl, and the wise owl is like, look, you get to detach, use this symbol, or even if it resonates, just simply think and speak, I detach from these people, places, things that I am thinking about and projecting. And what that does is, as you detach, you de-link yourself from your own thoughts, from your own ways that you would extend and connect negatively or in ways that disempower you to the collective. And so you instantly stop yourself from thinking those thoughts that you would be thinking of that would keep you bound to stress, and that would also project certain blueprints of the ways that those people, places, and things can show up in your life. So if the giraffe is afraid, and the giraffe spends all this time thinking about, like, man, this is really going to suck, this family reunion and going away and seeing all these people because they don't get me, and da-da-da. And if that's the reality that they're creating, that's the blueprint that they're creating, then that's the way everything is going to be viewed through them, to them. Yet if they detach, if you detach, when those feelings arise, when you feel yourself start to project in advance on a situation, or project from a past situation, you can say, I detach. You can imagine that symbol if it resonates, or you can simply say or think, I detach. And that will detach you from your own thoughts, from you casting out threads that connect you deeper and deeper still into the matrix of consciousness, so that you can be clear, so that you can come back to, what does it feel like for me to just be me in my center, in my power, without having these fear-based grids extending from me and connecting to me with regard to this person, place, or thing. So I have to preface this. I'm going to read a little bit here from my book, The Reiki Apprentice. And I thank you all again for subscribing, for watching, for hanging out. I truly pray and I affirm that everything I share here serves your path of spiritual growth and spiritual sovereignty. I am an author, and I've written a couple of books. My links are down in the Show More box. And this book, The Reiki Apprentice, is paperback, but also on Kindle. And it reflects my journey of some stuff from when I was a youth, of the things that marked me in my life, the pain, the shame, the trauma, but also then how I learned how to use those painful experiences and turn them into power. Through backpacking travels around the world, I came into contact with the modality called Reiki. And eventually, the universe brought me into alignment with an apprenticeship with a grand Reiki master And through my deep apprenticeship with this teacher, I learned how to heal my life. Now, this teacher was not only a Grand Reiki master, but she is also a trance channel, which means that she sits and different divine entities, because there were never any weird entities, I never felt that with her, would come through and she would channel, they would speak through her different multidimensional metaphysical energy tools, which I know is a part of my path to share with you as we continue. So just to give you a little backdrop, in this part, I'm guided to read. There was a small group of us that would get together with my teacher once a week, and she would channel this information. And here we are in this situation with her. And I'm going through something really deep here. And she's channeling. And so from my end, I say, okay, here we go. I take a deep breath and begin. I felt like they were making fun of me. Every time I danced around on stage or sang a high note, I was a singer for many years, still am at heart, they would huddle together and giggle, all while pointing at me. Usually I'm pretty good about not caring what people think, but these girls really shook me up, and the whole gig went downhill because of it. I hate being that easily taken out of my center. I pause for a moment and state, it felt like they stole my energy. A long, drawn-out breath ends my statement, and I await the scroll's advice. Now, my teacher channeled an entity called the Scroll, and also Rasputin of Siberia. So in that paragraph, I'm talking about how I was a singer, I was on stage, I was rocking it out, but then I noticed there was this table of these three girls that every time I kind of really got into my power and sang a high note or did a little dance or whatever it was, rocking out on stage, that they would huddle together, they would laugh, and they would point. And this really affected me. It took me off my center. So the scroll says, you must learn how to master your time and space. This is most important. You are too attached to being bullied and hurt in this way. This makes it easy for you to feel hurt over and over again. You hurt yourself instead of healing yourself. Understand this goes for all of you, she says to the group. The scroll looks around the room and continues. Any situation you find yourself in can be shifted energetically by you. You will understand this better as you begin to truly master your time and space. Now this, if you take anything away from this morning, and that's it, please take it and work it and sit with it. Any situation you find yourself in can be shifted energetically by you. And that's what we're talking about, the simple practice of you just knowing the energetics, the metaphysics, the invisible realm of how we connect with others and how they connect with us, and that you can work with that energy in the light and for the highest good of all. So here I go. My forehead wrinkles and I am not sure what to feel. The scroll continues, you feel bullied by these women, but there are deeper roots. These feelings did not start with these three ladies at the club. They are simply here to show you where to begin. Let's offer you some help. I feel momentarily relieved. So here you go. The issue that happened at the club, where I felt off of my center and disturbed and kind of freaked out by these three ladies, the scroll, my teacher was saying, this didn't just happen here. This has a deeper root into your past. So I'm going to skip ahead and just read a little bit more, and then we'll break it down. The scroll continues, let's energetically de-link you from those girls, and let's energetically de-link them from you too. I take a deep breath. My teacher says, you feel that? And I say, yes, I do. I feel an immediate energetic separation from the women at the show, as if we have become disconnected, and my body begins to relax. And my teacher says, many grid lines of energy connecting you to those girls have now been dissolved and disconnected. All of those ways that we have de-linked are going to run themselves energetically to completion as far as you will let them. That is, all of your personal thoughts and feelings that connect you to those women have been disassembled and rebalanced, and that's why you are feeling better. So, it's as simple as that. the Reiki Apprentice. It is as simple as that. That's the baseline. It's not always easy to get there, but it is as simple as that. And sometimes we get to repeat these practices over and over again. Repeat the de-linking. Because sometimes that energy is sticky and thick. And no matter if you de-link, those connections just relink right away. And it's like, oh, what does this have to show me here? How can I be even more present and more in my power and create even greater healthy boundaries by saying, no, I'm de-linking here right now. I'm de-linking from your tar, and I'm de-linking my tar from your tar. I'm de-linking from your shadow, and I'm de-linking your shadow from my shadow. Now, remember in that little story as well, that my teacher was channeling and saying, this didn't just begin with these women. So what are these situations that you walk with in the world that have marked your timeline, right? She was saying, you felt bullied, but it didn't start here. And it's true. The majority of my story in the book and in my life is that as a youth, I was bullied. And I'm not the only one, I know, but I was bullied tremendously at school. And from that memory not being healed, as I grew up, there were certain experiences where when that would show itself, I would become completely decalibrated and discombobulated because it took me from my center. It connected me straight back to that little girl in school who was totally bullied and who didn't know how to speak up for herself and stand up to the bully and say, hey, I see you. You know what? You can't fuck with me. But until I garnered the strength and healed those parts of myself that were bullied as a child, then I became unfuckable with. Because as long as we walk with those marks, we can be penetrated inappropriately by outward forces, by inappropriate outward forces. And not all forces are bad. Yet we get to pay attention to and be mindful of what we are saying yes to. And what I want you to know as well is that you can say no thank you. So that as someone says, hey, here's a gift for you, you can say, oh, thank you so much, but no thank you. It doesn't really resonate with me. There are people all the time, well, not all the time, but there are certain people that want to give me things. And I've learned how to say, oh, thank you so much, but no thank you. And it's okay to say no thank you. There's a friend of mine who just recently was saying, I got a lot of stuff from other people. Like they did a move recently and they were like, I don't know if I need all that stuff. And then as they thought about it, they were realizing like these things that these people gave me, I have like weird energy with, or they feel like they've been manipulated by them in a weird way in the past. And they're like, let me bless this stuff and get it out of my house. It's like the Poltergeist TV, like get it out. These things that these people give us can create portals for them to tap into our energy inappropriately. And especially where there's a not a good vibe. That's why we say, you know, unless you know someone and you're guided and it feels it's all love and light, we generally don't touch other people's crystals. And we generally don't let other people just come up and touch our crystals because it's like an extension of your energy. It's like in New York, I lived there for years. And even though you're packed and you're jammed in with other people on the subway or on the streets, there's a sense of this silent knowing of your personal space. You have like this radius, and sometimes you can't help it because you're swished in on a subway, but you'll have this radius of personal space that everyone just knows. And when someone like steps into your space, you're like, excuse me? Like you feel it. And it's that same thing when someone touches your hair or, you know, that you don't know. And this is what I'm talking about. Not to be afraid of it, but to be, made aware that you can be a master of your time and space. And a huge part of that is mastering your mind, your thoughts, your words, but also your healthy boundaries of what you allow in. Because what you allow in is what's going to be extended out. And so as you break down and you throw those old pictures of those exes away, or you burn those old letters, you delete these people from your phones, You know, and we get so attached to this stuff. And we're like, oh, but... And sure, I understand. I still have pictures of some exes and some things like that. But there's a good vibe there. There's a good vibe there. But with old friends or old things and situations where it was like, oh, that was a lesson about the shadow, honey. That was a big lesson about something or the other. Bless it. Say thank you. Use that medicine. Work with it. As your inner alchemist, as your inner shaman, your inner warrior. And a part of it is letting that stuff go, is consciously releasing those 3D things from your home, from excuse me, your life, so that those people, places, and things no longer have an entryway into you psychically. So you can come back to your sovereign truth and ability to be present in your wholeness, in your oneness. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're neutralizing and we're allowing love to be the truth. We're allowing love to be that presence, which is the truth. Because we don't want to walk around with shields all the time because the world is so unsafe. And I did that for years, and that served me in my warrior apprenticeship, learning how to be a warrior, which was learning how to deal with my pain, with all of my fears and my shadows. And while that stuff was becoming unraveled, yes, I walked around with massive shields in the world because all those things were getting released and my vulnerabilities with them were coming to rise to be healed. And then eventually, as those parts of me were healed, I could drop those heavy shields and just be like, love is the real shield. And it's not really a shield. But love is the truth. And love, aligning with that frequency and allowing it in consciously, placing it consciously, is what allows us to be unfuckable with, was what allows us to connect with our wholeness and our unity with the one soul, with the one love, with God, whatever name you give it, that is source, that is the white light, the divinity, holy and sacred within each and every one of us. So remember, you can write your energy letters, you can practice forgiveness, you can pray, you can just simply imagine de-linking threads of energy from you to that person and from that person to you, clearing that space in between. So again, I thank you, all of the subscribers. Thank you for being present this morning. I'm so very grateful. I pray and I affirm that everything here serves you. Thank you for subscribing here at YouTube. And also know that you can visit my website. My link is down below, tuesdaymaythomas.com. And subscribe. You will receive, as you subscribe to my website, my free mini ebook, The Higher Self Blueprint of Mastery. And you'll also receive my monthly love letter to your email. Do check your social and your promos, as it may not go right into your inbox. So we're going to finish up this morning. And again, a little reminder that next week's 4D Trinity will start at 11 a.m. So we're going to play a little drum. And we'll come back later and we'll do a meditation for this. I'll probably do a separate meditation, but I do have to get going now. We're going to just play out with a little bit of drum. So thank you, and bless you, and namaste, everyone. I pray all of these messages, all of this guidance truly serves you, your path of mastery, your path of sovereignty, of self-love, of healing. And so it is. So it is. We thank you, our angels, our guides, our animal spirit totems, all of those light beings who love us and that we love, our ascended masters, loved ones perhaps that have passed from this life, that hold space for us on this path. We thank you. We love you. We thank you for being with us today and every day to help open the way for our path, to help open the way of love, of light, to bring us into the sacred, the holy, that we may bridge heaven on earth. through the unity of mind, body, and emotions, aligned with spirit. Hey! 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 Love and light. Love is the truth. Truth is love. We are that. I am that. I bless this community. So very grateful. Thank you again, our angels, our guides, holding space for the highest good of all. And so it is, so it is, and so it is, so it is. So it is. Blessings and namaste, everyone.